So recently I've been getting into the popular comic/TV series Invincible by Robert Kirkman, and immediately picked up on the parallels between the Saiyan and Viltrumite races, such as their dwindling numbers, goal of interplanetary conquest, and most importantly their primal desire to do battle. Which is why in today's video I want to give an overall analysis of both the Saiyans and Viltrumites' capability when it comes to fighting, by going over both species' high and low tier combatants' individual stats like AP, durability, speed, and hacks, to determine which one of these warrior races is really superior, and why. The first stats we'll be going over are attack potency and durability, and we'll go ahead and start off with the Saiyans' low class warriors, who should all be around the same strength as Raditz, who is stated to have the lowest battle power amongst all Saiyans in the Daisenshu, giving all low-class Saiyan warriors power levels of at least 1200, thereby making them over 3 times stronger than Piccolo, who was notably able to destroy the moon in Chapter 208, a feat that has been consistently calced around small planet level in terms of kinetic energy output, which is the tier we'll be placing the low-class Saiyans in for this video. Subsequently making mid and elite class Saiyans like Nappa and Vegeta baseline planetary to large planetary, considering the duo are 3 and 15 times stronger than Raditz respectively, which is pretty consistent when you consider Vegeta by his own words was going to turn the Earth into space dust with his Gallic gun, which is a feat that can be calced at large planetary itself. And that's without even mentioning the Saiyan's Ozaru transformation that amps them 10 times, making even the weakest of Ozaru Saiyans large planetary and the elites like Prince and King Vegeta freaking dwarf star level. As for the Viltrumites' AP and durability though, like with the Saiyans, almost every Viltrumite can be either up or downscaled based off one feat, which is the destruction of planet Viltrum caused by Omni-Man, Mark, and Thaddeus, that has been calced as high as large planetary in terms of kinetic energy output, even at a low end. Scaling virtually any high-ranking Viltrumite like Conquest, Lucan, General Krieg, or Anissa to large planet level, as all of these characters were shown to be capable of engaging in combat with and harming the aforementioned Mark, Thaddeus, and Nolan, who would have to be tanking the counter forces of their own kinetic energy output that destroyed Viltrum, which would then upscale the strongest Viltrumite of the entire race Thrag to near dwarf star levels of physical stats, as he should be at least 8 times stronger than the likes of Mark and Omni-Man, seeing as how he can literally one-shot Nolan and rip Mark in half like a piece of paper. Skipping past AP and durability though, the next stat we need to go over is speed, and we'll go ahead and continue with the Viltrumites, who have very straightforward but complicated speed scaling. This is due to the fact that we've been told Omni-Man was able to travel all the way to planet Thraxo, which is located in the Virgo supercluster that is over 65 billion light years away from Earth, which would mean Omni-Man would have to be moving at over 3 billion times the speed of light while flying. The reason I stress while flying though is because it's arguable that Viltrumites and Omni-Man are much slower in terms of combat speed than travel speed, as we've seen supersonic characters like Red Rush and the Immortal easily tagging and outspeeding Nolan, putting his actual combat speed into question. That being said though, you could also argue Omni-Man was never actually going all out against these opponents or moving as fast as he could, considering he's essentially invincible compared to anyone he goes up against, and has no qualms with tanking opponents' attacks just to bully and brutalize them afterwards, which is why I'll leave Nolan's and the Viltrumites' actual level of speed up to your guys' personal interpretation. Regarding the Saiyans and their level of speed though, unlike with the Viltrumites, this is pretty clear-cut, as we've seen Raditz easily blocking Goku's Kamehameha that should be no slower than Piccolo's Standard Blast, which has been calculated to have a travel speed of 61% the speed of light, making low-class Saiyans like Raditz relativistic and Saiyans comparable to Nappa and Vegeta FTL+, and even MFTL in their Ozaru forms. Moving away from speed though, the last thing we need to talk about is hacks, which are pretty basic for both Viltrumites and Saiyans, since both have the standard power sets of enhanced strength, super speed, and flight, with the only real difference between the two races' skill sets being that Saiyans can turn into Ozarus, and also have the innate ability to use Ki, allowing them to shoot energy blasts. With both the Viltrumites and Saiyans' capabilities completely laid out though, it's now time to get into the evaluation portion of the video, and right away I want to make it clear that both races' fighters are relatively evenly matched in base, as it would at least take a mid-class Saiyan to take on a standard Viltrumite, while stronger Viltrumites like Omni-Man and Mark would require the likes of elite Saiyan warriors such as Bardock, King Vegeta, and Prince Vegeta, with the only outlier and wildcard for both races being Thrag, who could easily kill any Saiyan in base. Notice how I'm emphasizing base this whole time though, since if King or Prince Vegeta manages to get an artificial moon in the sky, then even low-class Saiyans would be able to take on the peaks of the Viltrumite race, and Thrag would be absolutely slaughtered by any Saiyan above mid-class. Also, if you're wondering why I haven't mentioned speed and only been talking about power this entire time, this is simply because even if you think the Viltrumites are much faster than the Saiyans due to Omni-Man's aforementioned galaxy traveling, it doesn't really make a difference since he nor his race is really interested in speed blitzing and one-shotting opponents, as they would rather enjoy the thrill of battle against their strong opponent as opposed to taking advantage of an obvious speed discrepancy. And if you think that I'm exaggerating or even flat out lying about this, then I urge you to actually read Invincible, since it's quite literally stated multiple times that might makes right in the Viltrumite Empire, therefore not a single one of the 50 remaining Viltrumites we know would even consider a speed blitz unless they're fighting fodder, which the Saiyans obviously are not. Furthermore, this is even assuming you think Nolan and the other Viltrumites can fight this fast, as if you think they can't, then it would be the Saiyans doing the blitzing, and even if you think they can, you'd have to agree that they'd hold back their speed to fight the Saiyans. Which just means this battle of races would simply come down to raw strength and numbers, which are both categories that favor the Saiyans. Therefore, I think it's safe to say if the Viltrumites ever tried to invade planet Vegeta, the result wouldn't even be close.